So as far as feminists and such, I guess I would consider myself a happy feminist.
Such insanity.
Today in this video I will go through this article, which is a very interesting and important article which shows the link between feminism, eugenics and New Age cults.
I guess I would consider myself a happy feminist.
And what you're gonna hear in this article is really insane, right? Really unhinged stuff, which shows you the type of supremacist movement feminism always was at its core.
I guess I would consider myself a happy feminist.
In addition, some people, both men and women, argued that women were essentially more spiritual than men, more intuitive, more attuned to the spirit world.
Such insanity.
So you have your first clue of the supremacist narrative, right? Women are these better beings, these more virtuous, more spiritual beings, right?
I guess I would consider myself a happy feminist.
And we see it today with claims like women are deeper in emotional terms and more empathetic and so on and so forth, and they're these guardians of nature, and we need female leaders to combat climate change, and they contrast that with the destructive nature of men and so on and so forth, right?
We have a very strong evolutionary theory which explains why males benefit more by having conflict and winning conflicts than females do.
Such insanity.
I guess I would consider myself a happy feminist.
First-wave feminists saw sex education and birth control as fundamental to the liberation of women from the burden of endless childbirth and enslavement to sexual demands and poor sexual hygiene of men.
I guess I would consider myself a happy feminist.
The suffragette movement arose in the late 19th century at the same time as the eugenics movement, when there was rising concern about the quantity and genetic quality of the human species in general and the white race in particular. So white supremacy and feminism going hand in hand.
I guess I would consider myself a happy feminist.
British feminist Stella Brown wrote in 1915, quote, absolute freedom of choice on the woman's part and intense desire both for her mate and her child are the magic forces that will vitalize and transfigure the race, end quote.
I guess I would consider myself a happy feminist.
You find feminists arguing that it is woman's cosmic destiny to guide evolution and aid humanity's ascent into gods. You also find the idea that evolution is culminating in the new woman or superwoman.
I guess I would consider myself a happy feminist.
Victoria was born in 1838, the seventh of 10 children. She was a teenage spiritualist medium and clairvoyant who gave public seances and psychic readings. Wow. So basically a fraud.
Such insanity.
She claimed to be in touch with various spirits, including Demosthenes, Napoleon, and Josephine.
I guess I would consider myself a happy feminist.
In 1875, Blavatsky and her allies formed the Theosophical Society, announcing its three aims. First, to form a nucleus of the universal brotherhood of humanity without distinction of race, creed, sex, caste, or color. While it prided itself on being progressive and cosmopolitan, the Theosophical Society was also quite hierarchical. It was guided by the Masters, an all-male elite of superhuman beings who only communicated through Madame Blavatsky. There was also an implicit racial hierarchy in Blavatsky's teachings.
I guess I would consider myself a happy feminist.
Like Blavatsky, Besant believed in a racial hierarchy. She thought Chinese and Japanese people were part of the fourth root race, now superseded by the fifth root race of Indo-European Aryans, who would eventually rule the world in an expanded version of the British Empire. Wow, so not only racist, but also imperialist, right?
Such insanity.
I guess I would consider myself a happy feminist.
Florence Farr, however, was not a mother and did not think woman's spiritual mission ended with motherhood. The ultimate aim of the adept is the perfection of themselves through the attainment of Superwoman consciousness.
I guess I would consider myself a happy feminist.
Such insanity.
Sweeney was a female supremacist and gynocrat, i.e. she advocated rule by women. She thought women are the superior gender in just about every sense. She wrote in The Awakening of Women, quote, "The female organization is the one of which nature has bestowed most care, provision and attention, and has been, so to speak, her first and her last love," end quote.
I guess I would consider myself a happy feminist.
Many people actually don't know the female supremacist origins of Wonder Woman. And Wonder Woman was inspired by Margaret Sanger, the feminist birth control activist and eugenicist, right? In other words, Sanger argued that feeble-minded people should not be granted the personal liberty to reproduce as much as quote-unquote normal people. Rather, she proposed the segregation and sterilization of feeble-minded groups. Here's what Emily Murphy wrote about this. Quote, "The object of sterilization is threefold. It aims at public security by preventing sexual crimes against women and children by feeble-minded but full-lived males."
Such insanity. And that's why I actually despise intersectional modern feminism, I guess, because...
Again, feminism also was involved in KKK, right? Feminism is the gender KKK.
But remember, fam, no one benefits more from white supremacy than a white woman.
Ladies, if we just stop breeding with narcissists, this whole genetic pool will die off in a couple thousand years.
And for the mental and physical betterment of our racial life, end quote.
The biggest benefactor of white supremacy is white women. They benefit from it more than ever.
And so I'm actually a happy feminist. I'm not complaining.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that.